Well, baby, you've been on my mind. I think about you all the time. Oh, I want to see your face. That don't make me wait.
All right, welcome back to Sleeping Around the Podcast with Dr. Ann and Matthew. I'm pretty much an expert in travel and sleep. I'm on airplanes. I rent vehicles. I'm in Ubers. But the focus for this is I literally am in a hotel every night.
So I think when you look at travel and sleep, many people struggle with it and they don't think about it before they're going to travel. So most people, they're not traveling for work. They're traveling for luxury or leisure.
Right.
And when you go to pick a hotel, when you go to pick a destination, the last thing you think about is how well I'm going to sleep. So you don't generally come to a hotel and get any additional supports for it. So what I mean by that is, do you get any information of having difficulty sleeping? These are some of the strategies that you can utilize. Oh, this sound in your room is bothersome. Here's some earplugs. Here are these other things that may actually be able to help you. So as we've been growing between my brand of Damn Good Sleep, that's right, I put the damn in good sleep.
There you go.
It does stand for Dr. Emery Morse, though. So just as a reminder, but also of Sleeping Around the Podcast, how do we actually help people sleep no matter where they're at? So that's where we've conceptualized and have started implementing the development of the Easy Sleep rating scale, right?
Yes.
So which hotels have a 5Z rating, which is going to be, you go there, you're guaranteed to sleep like a baby, right? I would say the majority of hotels probably are not going to be meeting those expectations.
That's right. And so here's tip number one. In any hotel you stay at, I'm not talking about the bed yet, we'll get to all that, but just the very first, if you are awakened easily by noise, think about it. That ice machine, if you've ever stayed at a hotel or motel, if you're by that ice machine, it's going to have heavy traffic. You're going to hear the ice fall. You're going to hear it hit the bucket, and it's going to be annoyance. Same way with the elevator.
Yes.
There's a statistics out with Travelocity and another one that those hotel rooms are usually less expensive. So if you're trying to save money and that doesn't bother you, there's a hint right there.
Yes.
But on mine, automatically on my apps, it automatically generates that. So they know going into whenever I book on one of those apps to stay away from ice machine and please stay away from the elevator. So another hint that I tell people, either I stay on the very first floor or I stay on the very top floor. Usually the first floor of every hotel is a larger room, or the top will even have a larger ceiling on it, but you won't have, people above.
Yes.
So again, if that goes back to just the noise level. So for me, those are some things that I've looked into, and I know, and I'm not the only one, that you travel a ton.
Yes.
So what's some other hints besides on just the level and kind of the noises, the outside effect? What about inside the room?
So I think inside the room, some of the things that very commonly can be culprits of a terrible night's sleep can be things like the air conditioner, right?
Yes.
So the ones that maybe don't have central air and still have kind of the window unit type of situations, one of the challenges with them is they can sometimes cycle on and off. And so it can go in either direction. If you're a person who isn't necessarily too bothered by noise, it may not be problematic. But the ones where it turns on, you hear it going, and then it just shuts off. For me, that will wake me from sleep.
Wow.
And so that can be very, very problematic. Some people will just make it really, really, really cold in there so that it just never shuts off. So it just doesn't shut off then. That could potentially be helpful, but remembering that optimal sleep temperature is really between 60 and 68 degrees.
That's right.
So if you're making it way too cold, that actually can also be very disruptive of your sleep as well. Now, other things that I would say is how dark is it in the room? And so most hotels now are equipped with room darkening shades. The challenge that I find with a lot of the rooms that have room darkening shades, as opposed to you being able to pull them all the way over to the side, they meet in the middle. And when you meet in the middle, what ends up happening, you have this great little opening right there that it's like, hi, don't go to sleep.
You're going to love this. In every hotel room that I've ever stayed in, they have a closet. And in those closets, they have two types of hangers. They have regular hangers, then they have hangers with claws on them. I take those hangers with claws on them and I connect each one. Or now I started traveling with clips. Again, I'm in a hotel every night.
Sure.
I would tell you that will block out. It is beautiful. You're right, because they all meet in the middle.
Yes.
And so if you don't travel with little clips like I do, there's a little hack you could do.
Yeah. I'll tell you, the best place that I've ever stayed at was actually in Italy. It was in Rome, Italy. We splurged. It was the first time my husband and I were ever there. Because I travel a ton, I also had a ton of miles. I had a ton of points. So I was able to actually get a really nice hotel. It was a Waldorf Astoria in Italy, in Rome, Italy. Beautiful property. It was museum inside of it. It was just absolutely gorgeous. It was crazy. you pressed a button and a metal sheet
Oh.
came down
Love it.
and it completely blocked out any type of light. I think that was also there for safety, because what we learned while we were there was that there was very high level international like delegates and things that were also there.
Oh, wow.
And so I think that was a recurring theme that they had. And so
Okay.
I think that was also there for a safety feature, but it was the best for me sleep feature because it blocked out noise and it also blocked out the light consistently because it came down.
I find myself staying in this the exact same type of hotel now for that reason. It isn't steel, but they have a pulley system where you can actually pull out a blackout. What's the word I'm looking for?
A blackout curtain,
But it's not a curtain. It's when you draw it down.
like a window shade.
Yes. And so, man, it's awesome because I'm one of those people that I like complete darkness. I will
Sure.
unplug any alarm clock that's in the room,
Yes.
any type of light. If there's a
Yes.
microwave light or anything, I just like it dark.
Yes.
That's how I like to sleep. But my point is, here's a tip. Pick up the phone and call.
Yes.
Ask some specific questions. And again, the worst thing they could say is, I don't know.
Yeah.
If they don't know what's in the room, then you probably don't need to be staying there.
Yeah.
What are some other effects? I mean, obviously, we're going to talk about the bed, the pillow, different things besides outside noise and light. Where would you rank? To me, the bed would probably be number one.
Sure. Sure.
And so for me, I'm unique. I like a very firm mattress.
Mm-hmm.
There are some hotels I've literally gone and checked in. I've asked them. I go, first thing I do is I sit on the bed, and if it's too cushiony, I will literally not unpack anything and because believe it or not, every hotel has options. You can either get a firm or not so, believe it or not. And I'm not talking high dollar hotels. They have to offer those options.
So I do think that the mattress is critically important. Obviously, that's going to be the foundation to your sleep, but also the pillows. Many times where you go and sit down on the bed, and the bed might feel like it's just you do the Goldilocks test, right? It's too soft, too firm, just right. But the reality is that the pillows are just as important. Making sure you have the appropriate neck support and taking into consideration what kind of sleeper you are. Are you a side sleeper? Are you a back sleeper? Are you a belly sleeper? And also, do you have the right number of pillows? Sometimes they're stingy. They're like, you get 2, that's it. Other times it's like, where's the bed? There's too many pillows here. That's a problem that's probably easier to solve. Now, the challenge is it also changes the size of the pillow. I sometimes have been at hotels and there's like 6 pillows on the bed, but they're all like the regular standard size. I'm a person, I need that either queen or king size pillow. Otherwise, I feel like I can't move. My head's going to fall off of the pillow. Right. So I do think that those are other factors. And then obviously, what are you dressing the bed in? So what is the quality of the sheets? What kind of blankets are there? And those also are going to play into the temperature control of the room. So this really, you're creating this sleep oasis ecosystem. And again, when you're planning the travel, these are all the things that you're right, you're not thinking about. No. You're thinking about the location. You're thinking about what am I going to be able to do?
Is it closest to the beach? Is it close? Yeah.
Price, and if you're a traveler,
right.
How close is it? Or a traveler for business, how close is it to the destination I need to be at? Right. And that's always the top priority. However, many times you have a selection of 5, 6 different hotels that you can potentially consider. So if you're going there and your goal is to be your top performance, don't skimp on what the quality of sleep that you may be able to get there.
100%. So nothing makes a vacation worse than going on to this. You've saved up your money, you've taken your children or whatever, and you get there and it is just a horrible experience.
Sure.
I literally booked a unbelievable experience back in 2018 and I spent a lot of money on this place down in Playa that I'd never been to because of two of my dearest friends went there and said, this is the most amazing sleep, bed, the accommodations. And I didn't care about the price because I knew that if I'm saving up and I know I'm going to go somewhere, and they were 100% correct. Yes. If we could be those friends to other people.
One of the things that I'm hoping is that we are able to fill that gap of things that people didn't even know that they were missing,
100%.
Right? They didn't even know that this was going to be something that's frustrating. And I have to tell you, as a mom, this is part of what has driven me to want to do this, is the number of times I've traveled with my kids and I'm like, how are we all going to sleep in here? The room is 300 square feet. And it said that it has 2 beds, but it's like, they might as well be bunk beds. Right. And so it is a really, really important factor. I most recently was in New York and I had done a social media review on it. The sink was like as a part of the bedroom and not in the bathroom. And like, there was like a water closet where that's where you went for your bathroom. And then that's where separately there was a shower. And it was like, it's a high end, like exactly like you had described earlier. It has a cool restaurant, it has a rooftop, it's a scene.
Right.
But the room, I had sent videos to my husband. I said, I kind of feel like I'm in a jail.
Well,
and so the props I did give to it, however, is that the bed was actually very comfortable. The pillows were good, and they did an excellent job. This was a room that was right near right near the elevator. I did not hear the elevator open or close once. I didn't hear people outside of my room, and it had ceiling to floor windows, which everyone loves because it's beautiful, but typically it's horrible for sound protection
and heat.
And I didn't hear anything, and the room stayed very cool. So overall, that was a hotel where I would say these are the pros, these are cons. If I were to come to the city with my kids, there's absolutely no way in hell that I'd be staying there, because of the fact that I wouldn't be able to accommodate that type of situation with kids, right? And so people don't think about that as something that would impact their sleep. But if you're frustrated and angry and you're like, this room is not set up for a family, you're not going to sleep well.
Everybody I talk to who they come to a conference, they do it twice a year, or they may travel a couple times a year for work. They're like, oh, the first night was horrible. Second night was worse. And now I'm flying home. I can't wait to get to my own
bed.
Everybody says that. So the number one question I get asked is, how do you do it? Well, one of the things that I did has to do with sleep hygiene, but I'm telling you, and I brought her here today so I could introduce her to the world. So people who are my close friends know that I travel with her all the way, all the time, and no, it's not a blow-up doll. It's not a for real doll. This is my wooby. And so for me, and this is just a hack that I have learned, whenever I check into a hotel, no matter what town I'm in, no matter where it is, I've already done some research, so I know what the bed is like. I sleep with the exact same blanket every single night. So for me, ever since I started doing this, and I've been doing this since, and I'm petting her, I've been doing this since
Very nice.
2019. I mean, it has been nothing but great. Now, that's my hack. Now, I've shared that I have a Bose sound system and a fan app that I use. So no matter what hotel I'm at, I have that noise going on. So for me, Ann, I like that constant noise. And have I had bed partners that say it's probably too loud? Absolutely. Then I'll probably do, ear pods. But for that familiarity, so the sound, then I have this, and then I'm a big scent guy. And I've shared this in the past. One of the hacks I also have is a familiar smell. I love lavender. So either I have a lavender candle, which you're not supposed to have in a hotel, or I have a diffuser, little travel diffuser that I bring with me. So what I've done in sense is I've darkened out the rooms with the little hacks I told you. I'm sleeping with the same blanket. I have the same noise going, and I have the same scent going. And for me, that helps me sleep when 100%. I travel.
So similar to how you travel with your whoopee. And I love that because I actually haven't heard many people call their blanket a whoopee. My little brother growing up had his whoopee. And that was the thing that he carried around too. It's just literally like shreds of a blanket.
Like Linus.
Yes, literally. And so for myself, I have very similar types of processes. Let's say I am in a hotel that I don't have the control of the noise, or I don't have control of making it as dark as I would like. I didn't have the hack before of thinking about the
like
hangers.
that.
It's a great one. My husband usually actually brings like industrial clips.
Yes. No,
but that's a great idea of using the hanger. So I bring for myself my sleep mask, right?
I love this.
And so the sleep mask serves two purposes. So purpose number one is whether it's dark or not dark in the room, this is blocking out the light so that I'm able to fall asleep. The second piece is this is a mask that you are able to charge.
Can you use the blindfold as a...
So it doesn't vibrate.
Oh,
because that works well for like the under eyes, right? For like a beauty hack. So, I mean, the only things that you can really use the mask for is really sleep.
Okay, I
right?
Gotcha.
Although, I mean, it would be great if it could do some other rejuvenation. So now with that stated, the reason why you can plug it in and it has these little remote controls is because I can connect it to my cell phone. So for yourself, someone who wants to listen, I listen to lullabies, right? So I'm able to put this on. It doesn't bother my husband, and it has two little speakers in the ears area. So when I put that on, I am out. So it's a way, again, what is your circle of influence? What are you able to control?
When you come to a hotel, people should be quiet. But that's not realistic.
Yes.
That's not realistic.
Yes.
So these hacks, these ideas that we're giving is something that if you have issues traveling sleep, because I have buddies of mine that are like, man, I slept fine. I do. On vacation, I slept great because I always ask, well, how'd you sleep at your hotel? I slept like a baby.
Sure.
I was away from drama and work and stuff like that.
Sure.
These are for those people that probably could have issues with sleeping at a hotel.
How do I prepare for my best vacation, work, et cetera experience? So many times I would say that some of the things are not the hotel, it's not the bedding, it's not the environment, it's not anything. It actually are the things that I'm doing at home leading up to actually going on a trip.
Right.
This becomes most important when we're traveling multiple time zones. And depending on whether you're going east versus west coast, that also can have a very, very big impact in regards to how you're sleeping, how you're
100%.
performing, how you're enjoying.
100%.
And so some of the things that people don't think about is the timing and the content of our food, drinks. Those all can very much play a role in how well you sleep once you get to the place that you're at. Yeah. So for instance, if you're traveling somewhere, be mindful of what is the circadian timing of where you're going. So if I am going to be at, it's 1 p.m. where I'm at currently, and when I arrive, my time is going to be that it's 6 p.m., but there it's 6 a.m.
Yep.
I need to start thinking about how do I adjust to that, right? And so those can play into what you're doing the few days before you leave of trying to already shift. Those can also play into what you're doing on the airplane. So many of us, as soon as we get on a long flight, the first thing we do is say, okay, how can I get myself to go to sleep? Sometimes it's the worst thing you can do.
Absolutely.
So being mindful of staying well hydrated. Strategies that are fads right now for weight loss, intermittent fasting. What we've learned about the timing of our food intake is that is one of the very, very critical circadian reinforcements is when we're eating food.
Absolutely.
And so you can actually use intermittent fasting as a strategy to help you adopt to a new time zone more easily. So I want to make sure that people are also aware of these are the tips and tricks that you're able to have full control of in order for you to have the optimal experience of where you're going. And then also looking at other factors of things that can optimize your wakefulness. So such as strategic caffeine use. In many hotels, they sometimes will have a coffee maker in the room. And so what is that coffee maker? The quality of that coffee maker? Is it coffee that I would ever think about utilizing? Absolutely not. So I think these are all the other additional factors that our rating scale is going to incorporate that are also going to be like real life. This is what matters when you're traveling that I don't want you to have to think about. And I don't want you to have to go and call every hotel that you might consider staying at, right? It would be nice if it's like, I know I'm going to stay at this hotel. I just want to be prepared. But how do we now travel? We look at 10 different options and are trying to figure it out.
We keep talking about hotels. A lot of people travel on Thanksgiving and Christmas and all that to their relative's house, to family.
Sure.
Talk about that.
There's a lot of reasons for
You're like, that's why I get a hotel.
Yeah.
No,
Well, I mean, the reality is that is very true for me and my husband. We really don't like to stay at other people's houses, not because they're not hospitable, but it's hard to feel relaxed enough to be able to kind of indulge in what your normal bedtime routines are. You also tend to have this feeling of obligation of staying engaged longer than what you may want to. It feels rude to be like, I'm tired. I want to go to bed when everyone else is still up and doing things, etc. And then you obviously can't be as critical as to what their bed situation or pillows or temperature. You're subject to the environment. And so those are some things that you just go in acknowledging, right? And so what I would say is that if you are going to be staying at a family's home, being prepared with whatever is in your circle of influence or control, right? It depends on who you're staying at. Do you have the ability to be more, hey mom, can we turn down the air? It's a little bit hot in here, versus maybe you're staying at a sibling and you know that anytime you make any suggestion, it creates friction, right? You're not going to do that. And so then do you travel with maybe a small fan that you can put in your room? Do you travel with a mask? Do you travel with extra bedding or something? And again, with extra bedding, I'm not saying you're coming in and you're bringing a whole thing, but maybe some
people do bring a blow-up mattress.
Yeah, exactly. And but it might be like your wooby, right? It's going to be something that is going to make it more likely for you to be comfortable. And thinking about your sleep prior to going to meet and spend time with your family, especially during a very stressful, even though it can be exciting, it also typically is very stressful and like rapid pace. prioritizing your sleep is going to make it much more likely for you to have an enjoyable experience, less likely for there to be the fights in the family. And so it is definitely something that has to be a part of that.
Ideally, when someone gets an Airbnb, I'm a creature of habit. So if I find somewhere that I like, whether it's for work or for pleasure, meaning fun, a trip, all that, I usually stay at that exact same place.
Yes.
I'm not as adventurous because I get to try out more.
Yeah.
That person who has saved all year for this vacation, they get to this location and it is nothing like that. I would love to use our scale for them as well too. Is that something we could do?
Oh, 100%. I would say that the way that we've developed the scale is it can be applicable. The goal of it is really to help people to be able to navigate what is the experience. And so a part of utilizing a scale is also to help identify locations in general of that.
Nice.
These are optimal for sleep health overall, because there are going to be certain cities. You referenced Las Vegas. Las Vegas probably is going to be lower on the rating scale, right?
Yes.
No matter how luxurious
can I tell you,
and everything
when I go to
else.
Vegas, people know I go to Vegas. I never stay off the strip. I either stay out at Red Rocks, I'll give them a shout, I usually stay out there, or Lake Vegas. So for me to get in town, usually they have a service, or I'll take an Uber to get in, because I have stayed at the below. I shouldn't say I've stayed at, but it's not quiet.
No.
And so I stay outside.
Sure.
Get good sleep, come
Sure.
inside.
Sure.
But
and it also helps with the FOMO, right? So when you're staying at the hotels and you're like, I'm tired, I should go upstairs, and you see everyone else still out and partying, you're going, maybe I can stay out a little bit longer. Maybe I can push it a little bit more.
I don't know.
Maybe.
You know what, Ann? I'm just going to speak for me. I'm at the age now where y'all go have fun.
Yeah. But most people aren't.
I know.
I mean, we're in a society of fear of missing out drives most of our behaviors. And the reality is that we think what other people's experiences are based on social media, right? And so the lack of reality that we're constantly being engaged with puts expectations for ourselves up here. And so therefore we think by not doing the same as everyone else that we are somehow a lesser person or we're missing out on something. Our life is less fulfilled. And so that I do think helps, where when you're able to remove that kind of temptation, it makes it more likely for them to fall asleep.
One of my favorite hotels I stay in, I spend a lot of time outside of Dallas. And there is no way, if I was in a relationship and had children, that I would ever stay at this hotel. And it looks just like a prison. Not that I've been in one. It's all cement, and it's. Did
you say it's all semen?
No, cement.
Oh, cement. Okay. I'm like, I don't know what kind of hotel you're staying at. I didn't know there was a Navy hotel.
There's no Navy people there.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Like,
so my point is that this isn't a cookie cutter model. There's nothing on the wall but cement, and it's what you say. It's like Euro chic. It's minimalist.
Yes.
They have a closet, but it's a not even a closet. It's an area to hang stuff.
Yes.
Although they do have the grippers on there, but so. What we're suggesting during this episode, when we're talking about travel and sleep, is just ask the right questions.
Definitely.
Don't be scared to reach out, whether it is an Airbnb, whether it's a hotel, whatever. Just feel free to go ahead and ask the questions.
Yeah. And I think the other thing that's really important to highlight is part of the reason in the development of this scale is because we're sleeping around the podcast, right?
That's right.
And so we literally have now taken this concept to say we are going to be getting up and being mobile. And so therefore we will be bringing a podcast all across the country and the world. We have different global destinations that we plan on pursuing. And so with that stated, we want to utilize that experience not only to be able to meet more of you where you're at, but also to be able to take advantage of understanding what is the sleep quality that the hotels will be staying at have to offer.
Absolutely. And thank you guys for sleeping around with Dr. Ann and Matthew. Appreciate you.
Just keeping it between sleep friends.